So, guys, this is something interesting. This was shared by let me make sure I get this Reddit handle right. Lady Diamphanis. I probably mispronounced that, and I apologize. But Lady Diamphanis, you shared this over on the Reddit subsection, which, by the way, our Reddit subsection is reddit.com/r/GetYourNewsOnWithRon, where you can drop articles for me in the Reddit subsection, and I do visit it. And that's how we build this show. You know the premise here at Get Your News On with Ron. So Trump. His 2021 budget seeks to eliminate library funding again. By the way, this is on the heels. We did that story at the beginning of the year. More people use the library than go to the movies. New studies show that more people still to this day go to the library than go to the movies. Now, are there a number of reasons for that statistic, and not all of them are great? Sure. Part of it is people can't afford to go to the movies, certainly. But nonetheless, people are still using their libraries. I personally use my library constantly. I always have at least one book out. And libraries are such a huge asset to a community. Like and I know we talk about that a lot on this show, but I've always been a library lover. I am also a big fan of alliteration. I aspire for alliteration. All right, now I'm just fishing here. And alliteration is actually that's an I, so I screwed that up. But whatever, it's off the top of my head. Give me a break. Lover libraries, we'll take that. But here's the deal. The Trump 2021 budget seeks to eliminate library funding again. So every year since the start as president, Trump's attempted to eliminate funding to libraries. What do you do? Where does the GOP get off on this? Like what? It's like, first of all, this is such... all of these things that he tries to cut, and it's not just, Bush did the same stuff. It's, the GOP always does stuff like this, where it's like, it's just cruelty. Like there's just no reason for it, other than they're just cruel and hateful. Like they're just so angry at ideas and knowledge that they're like, library, screw it. Like, this is such a small drop in the bucket to the budget. It's barely anything at all. It's like the equivalent of saving a penny. And yet they do it. They're like, oh, we're going to cut funding for NPR. Which, by the way, hey, that worked out great because now NPR takes a bunch of Coke money. And it shows in their programming. Big time. They're nice, polite Republicans now. That's what they are. It shows. And they're like, yeah, anyway, let's get to the article to talk about what they're cutting specifically. All right, so the 2021 budget calls for elimination of the National Endowment for the Humanities, the National Endowment for the Arts. All three have been subject to elimination in the administration's prior budget proposals. As the primary source of federal funding for museums and libraries, IMLS, that's the library, the Institute of Museum and Library Services, where a lot of libraries get their funding, invests in communities of all sizes from rural to urban in every U.S. state and territory. IMS ensures public library services for all Americans, help preserve the heritage of our nation, and provides critical funding for literacy and workforce development programs. IMLS is a crucial tool. All right. So, as pointed out in previous assaults to the budget of these organizations, beloved and well-known events would see their end, including the National Book Festival, the NEA's Big Read program, and regional book festivals and more. The NEH also has spearheaded significant projects, including the Library of Congress's Chronicling America digital historical newspaper collection. The NEH also funds the museum, a bunch of museums in California. I know that for a fact as well. The 2021 budget, titled A Budget for America's Future, proposes an increase on spending on military. We spend more on our military than the next 13 countries combined. Veteran Affairs and NASA will eliminate the above social programs. Let's go to space because we've just given up on Earth. We're going to make Earth even worse, but we're going to go to space. Oh, and it also wants to cut the Environmental Protection Agency, which is already just a shell of itself, and Medicare and Medicaid. Each of the last 4 years have brought significant pushback for the elimination of these programs, and each year the budgets have been restored and even increased. So people fought back, and they didn't take the budgets away. Americans for the Arts, a watchdog and advocacy group for the arts and humanities, noted that previous attempts at cuts were thwarted and that pushback and demonstration of the need for cultural enrichment not only challenged the cuts, but increased them. So What should you do? Let's see here. Brown encourages everyone invested in the future of library services to reach out to their congressional representatives and demand they fight to restore funding for the IMLS, NEA, and NHA. And we'll make sure there's a link at the bottom there. You should reach out to your congressional representatives, tell them to support the IMLS, the NEA, and the NHA. Because they've been trying to cut libraries, they've been trying to cut the arts, and those past attempts have been thwarted. And instead, funding increased because people spoke out and people wouldn't be silent about it. So there you go. They're going after the libraries again. What do they... Like, I just don't know what goes through people's heads where they're just like, yeah, we should just do... It's a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of our budget. We can pay for it many times over. All it does is make people's lives a little bit better. That's all it does. It makes people's lives better. People are able to go to their library to get books and DVDs and music and whatever else, to learn a new language, to go to some of the programs that their community offers. And a lot of people that use the library, people of all walks of life, of course, use the library, but a lot of people that use the library are poor. Because that's the only way they can get those types of resources. There's a lot of people, they can't afford Netflix, or they can't afford Hulu, or they can't afford, so the library is where they go so that they can watch movies. There's a lot of people, they go to the library to use the internet. That's still a reality in our world. And we have a government that wants to take that away from them for no reason this is just cruelty. There is no reason other than just straight up cruelty. And this didn't begin with Trump. Bush did the same nonsense. Obama, to an extent, did the same thing too. Usually when a Democrat's in the White House, you don't see the same attack on the arts and stuff like that. It's more subtle. Similar things do happen, but it's more subtle at least. And this is just an example of just a government actively working against its people. And this is what happens when you have a right-wing party and a fascist party. Take your pick. Take your pick. Man, so, call your representatives, try to fight this. We fought it before, and they weren't able to get away with what they wanted to do. But we got to fight again.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your